I'd like to invite you to use your imagination for a few minutes. Imagine that you have been left alone in your house. You are abandoned for maybe days, weeks, months, or even years. You're starting to get bored, anxious, and quite helpless, when all of a sudden somebody comes to visit you. They leave a car outside and car keys and tell you you can go wherever you want to go. Your first reaction might be excitement. Finally, you get to break free from your home, which has become a prison. But at the same time, you start to have doubts and fears. Where are you going to go? What new developments are there out there? Who should you see? Where are you going to find money to make any meaningful decision? And that's where clarity comes in. Last time, we spoke about the importance of being clear when it comes to setting goals. And today, we're going to talk about getting clarity when it comes to goal setting. Stay with me as we continue on this journey. Welcome to Living It Up. This is the place where we learn to live the life that we love and love the life that we live. My name is Isabel Masika Chinchika. I'm the first president of the Institute of Marketing in Malawi. And in 2023, I was recognized as one of the most inspiring women, one of the top 100 inspiring women in Malawi. Today, we're going to talk about gaining clarity when it comes to setting our goals. In my intro, I gave the example of someone being stranded, being locked up in their home for a long time, and the desperation and loss of hope that might come from such a situation when all of a sudden things change. Somebody brings you a way out, but you don't know how to deal with it. This is when we need to be clear about what exactly we want to do. So the first step would be a mindset change. We need to realize that no matter what happens, we are now in control. We are responsible for what's going to happen next. So the car is sitting outside. The car keys have been left for us to decide where we're going to go. You could decide, no, I haven't driven a car in a long time, so I'm better off staying in the safety of my house. Or you might tell yourself, no, let me get into the car, check whether there's enough fuel to get me where I want to go. Or you might decide, let me call someone and ask them where they are, maybe family or friends or people who I have missed during this period. And you decide to give them a call and see how you can meet them. But the important thing is to remember that you are responsible for whatever is going to happen next. The second thing to bear in mind is that you mustn't fixate on the past. Instead, you must learn from it. So fine, you have been isolated for all this time. You've been trapped, stuck in your house with no one to talk to, nothing to do. But now, you've been given a chance to try something different. So you can learn from some of the experiences you had while you were locked up in captivity. Maybe you learned new skills. Maybe you learned new things about yourself, better self-awareness. So instead of blaming others for having put you in this situation, it's time for you to start looking at the next move. What else can you do? And once you stop blaming people, you also start to become more responsible. So, the mindset change, I would like to share a bit of my story with you, just to put it into perspective. In 2018, I found myself in a situation where, after working for almost 10 years in a job that I was very committed and passionate about, I found myself suddenly unemployed. It was a very confusing time for me. I was scared. I was lost. I was also deep in debt, and I hadn't managed my savings very well. My initial thought was, who do I blame? Should I blame the people where I was working? Should I blame my parents? Who should I blame for the situation that I'm in right now? Gradually, with time, I emerged from this dark place that I was in, and I told myself, no, I need to own up and take responsibility for where I am now. What happened might not have been my fault, but I am now in the driving seat and I need to take control of this situation. So I told myself I needed to start looking at things differently and seeing how I could turn things around for myself. I chose not to blame anyone. I chose not to fixate on the past, but instead learn lessons from what I had done and how I could move into a better direction. So I started working on some of the things in my character that I felt might have led to some of the challenges. I started upskilling myself. I started looking at how, once I started making money once again, I could become more responsible with my finances so that I would never end up in a situation where I'm stuck for money. And it helped a lot. Another thing that I also did was I got inspiration from other people. I looked at people who had been in similar situations, and I tried to match my scenario with theirs and see how they dealt with it. And through that, I was also able to empower myself. So there were some people like Steve Harvey, Lisa Nichols, and my all-time favorite, Oprah Winfrey, who really showed me that regardless of whatever might have happened in the past, no matter what captivity you might have been in, you are always responsible for what is going to happen to you next. And that is the first clarity that you must get when you find yourself in a situation where things are not always as clear as they ought to be. So there you are, sitting in this car, or sitting at home, still wondering whether you should get into this car. So all I'm telling you is, whether you're going to switch on that car, switch on the ignition, shift it into gear, that's up to you. If you're going to blame people, you're not going to get very far. You also need to learn lessons from it. You can even call up a friend and say, where can I go? That is reaching out and getting inspiration from other people. So that's the first part of getting the clarity. You need to change your mindset. Secondly, let's look at identifying your purpose. So we always hear people talking about knowing your purpose. What is your purpose? The big why. Why are you doing something? So today, I would like to break up the purpose into 4 key areas. So we're going to look at yourself. We're going to look at the social aspect of your purpose. We're going to look at your skills. And we're also going to look at society in general. So looking at yourself, when you're looking at your purpose, this is where you start to really drill down as to who you want to be. Do you want to be that person who's blaming everybody and you're refusing to get out of your house? Or do you want to be that person who steps into the car and decides to start moving. Whether you're going to use Google Maps to find somewhere to go to get a meal, or you're going to call up someone to say, let's meet up, or you're just going to drive around and see what changes have happened. What kind of person do you want to be? And what are your values? What are your aspirations? What are your passions? So you really need to be very clear about that as you look at setting your goals. Another area that we spoke about is the social aspect of your purpose. So who needs me to make a move? In my situation, when I found myself out of employment and without a very good financial backing, I knew that my children needed me. They needed me to be able to provide for them. My husband needed me to support him as well. My parents also needed me to also be able to help with different things. So I knew that despite whatever I was going through, there were people who were looking up to me. So here you are, stuck in your house, but maybe you haven't seen your family for a long time, but they need you. So start thinking about the people close to you, your social circle, who really need you to make the right move. Third, let's look at the skills. What are you good at? What comes naturally to you? What do you feel you could do without even getting paid for it? So in my case, during that time, I was very passionate about brand. I had been working as a brand manager for over 10 years, and brand was something that I practically used to live and breathe. So for me, when an opportunity came to do a talk for professional women on personal branding, it's something that I grabbed just like that. I had to learn more about personal branding, and I took time to sharpen those skills. I also had to polish up on my presentation skills, but I had a good enough background in that area to go out confidently and do a presentation on personal branding. So what skills do you have that maybe you can use to take you to the next level? Gain that clarity, and what gaps are there that maybe you need to work on? So that is the third area of clarity. And finally, looking at society, what impact do you need to make in society? So coming back to my story, I felt through what I had been through, I would be able to share with other people that might be going through a tough time or might be going through an identity crisis, whether it's through their career or different relationships. I felt I could be able to empower them and give them a clearer picture of where they can pick up from and find a direction that could lead them to where they want to go. So even when I did the presentation on personal branding, it was something that I did for free, but I felt it was an opportunity for me to share something that I knew and I was passionate about. So I went out there and I shared that story. And from there, I found my first consulting client who wanted me to help them in an area that I was stronger at as well, which was marketing and also building relationships with different stakeholders. So that is how I feel I can develop my purpose by, first of all, being very clear about what my values and my passions are, by recognizing the social responsibility that I had to my children, to my family, and to those who are close to me, for also knowing what my strong areas are in terms of my skill set and recognizing where I needed to upskill, and finally, for realizing that I have a responsibility within society. So, in conclusion, you might find yourself stuck in a situation. It might not have been of your own making, but you are responsible for the next step. Don't blame, don't finger point, but rather take that responsibility. If you need inspiration from other people, find that inspiration so that you can also find a way out, understand what your purpose is, know yourself, know your social responsibilities, know what your skills are and where you can upskill, and know what impact you need to make in society. Until next time, I encourage you to keep celebrating life.